Before we dive into tonight's unsettling tale, a quick reminder: if you're into spine-chilling stories that leave you questioning reality, don't forget to subscribe. Now, settle in, dim the lights, and prepare for a story that might just make you think twice before checking into an old hotel. The haunting of Ravenwood Hotel. Nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains lies the Ravenwood Hotel, a grand Gothic structure built in the late 1800s. Once a luxurious retreat for the wealthy, the hotel now stands as a forgotten relic, its elaborate architecture and ornate fixtures slowly decaying under the weight of time. Few visitors come here anymore, but those who do often leave with tales they wish they could forget. In the early 1900s, the Ravenwood Hotel was at the height of its glory. It hosted balls, banquets, and secretive meetings of the elite. But one night, in the midst of a brutal winter, tragedy struck. The hotel's owner, Samuel Greaves, a wealthy but deeply troubled man, was found hanging in his private study. His death was ruled a suicide, but rumors quickly spread that Samuel had been driven mad by something within the hotel, something unseen, but deeply malevolent. Decades passed, and the once bustling hotel fell into disrepair. It changed hands several times, each new owner more desperate than the last to restore its former glory. But the ominous reputation of Ravenwood Hotel only grew. Guests complained of strange noises, cold spots, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Some reported seeing shadowy figures in the hallways, while others swore they heard the faint sound of a piano playing from the grand ballroom, though it had been silent for years. In the 1970s, a young couple, Laura and Michael Hayes, purchased the hotel, hoping to turn it into a charming bed and breakfast. They were undeterred by the hotel's dark past, dismissing the stories as mere superstition. They moved in and began renovations, determined to bring life back to the old building. It wasn't long before they started noticing strange occurrences. It began with small things: doors that wouldn't stay shut, lights flickering on and off, and the distinct sound of footsteps echoing through the empty hallways at night. Laura often heard a faint, whispering voice calling her name, but whenever she turned around, she found herself alone. One evening, while working late in the hotel's basement, Michael discovered an old, sealed door behind a stack of rotting crates. It was a heavy, iron door with no lock, just a simple latch that seemed to be rusted shut. Curious, he forced it open, revealing a narrow, dark passage that led deeper into the hotel's foundations. As Michael ventured further, he found a small, hidden chamber. The walls were lined with old, dusty books, and in the center of the room stood a single, ornate chair. On the chair, as if waiting for him, was a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. The journal belonged to Samuel Greaves. The entries were disjointed, filled with the ramblings of a man slowly descending into madness. He wrote of voices that spoke to him at night, urging him to do unspeakable things. He described seeing shadowy figures that would vanish as soon as he turned to face them, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched by something ancient and malevolent. As Michael read, the temperature in the room plummeted. The faint sound of a piano began to play, the same eerie tune repeating over and over. A sense of dread washed over him, and he felt an icy breath on the back of his neck. He spun around, but there was no one there, just a cold, empty room. Terrified, Michael ran back upstairs, but the hotel had changed. The walls seemed to close in on him, the hallways stretching endlessly into darkness. The once familiar rooms were now unfamiliar, warped and distorted. And everywhere he turned, he saw the shadowy figures that Samuel had described: tall, featureless shapes that moved silently, always just out of reach. Laura found him hours later, huddled in a corner of the grand ballroom, muttering incoherently. His hands were ice cold, and his eyes, once bright and full of life, were now dull and distant. He spoke of the voices, the figures, and the overwhelming sense of despair that had consumed him. They left the hotel that night, abandoning their dreams of restoring it. The Ravenwood Hotel now stands empty, its windows boarded up, its doors locked tight. But those who pass by at night sometimes claim to hear the faint sound of a piano playing, and if you listen closely, you might just hear a voice, soft, barely a whisper, calling your name. Thank you for joining us in the haunting halls of the Ravenwood Hotel. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next spine-tingling story. And remember, some places hold on to their past, and they might just be waiting for you.